Good afternoon, everybody. We are here with Jamie and Jennifer Speiser of Precision, and we were talking about what led them to the path to not only be so passionate about total body health, but what you've created because of it, and where are you taking it to the next level, and then really just about your journey, because I wanted to use this as a launching off point for people to get to know you that don't already, and for you all to hopefully organically find a way that makes sense for you to continue to spread your word and your passion for things. And I have a great deal of admiration for you both and what you've accomplished. And I think it's an incredible message and a testament to the strength of a relationship between two people, the strength and faith for one another, and your ability to grow and improve yourselves alongside of each other. And I just think you're exemplary people. So I'm excited to be in the studio with you all and learn more about you and help the people out there in any way we can through what you both do.
Thank you, Corey.
Yeah,
Thanks.
you're welcome.
Thanks for having us on here. It's a pleasure to share our story. It's definitely been a journey from the time that we opened up, but we can start all the way back to how I got into this, if you want. Like
1986.
Actually, you're not too far away from that, it's right around 86, 87. My dad actually took me to the first gym I ever belonged to, which was Bodybuilding Inc. Back then you had Powerhouse, and Bodybuilding Inc. was a big one. And I remember walking into the gym at a young age, and there's a ginormous man with a gigantic jar, which I didn't know at the time, but I know now was filled with beef liver pills. And, he gives us a tour of the gym, and I'm walking around, and I just see all these guys that are just jacked. And at that moment in time, I'm like, that's what I want to be. That's what I want to do. And I was playing hockey at the time, and I always kind of struggled with weight a little bit as a kid. And, of course, that had consequences because I got picked on a little bit with it. Of course, with my name being Jamie, that added to it. Mm-hmm. And then glasses and stuff. So I found
you really stacked up.
Oh yeah, I had everything against me. I even had what I called my Breakfast Club era.
I was gonna say your accessories also may have done that.
You were like the Judd?
Yeah, I was like Judd Nelson and from Breakfast Club back then. Yeah. So yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So I learned through the gym. It started to give me a lot of confidence on and off the ice. It kind of really started to help mold me in the gym, and then that carried on well within going into being a personal trainer. A lot of people don't realize it, but actually my first degree was actually in automotive. I was actually an auto mechanic for almost 9 years. And so I've always liked being able to fix things. And now I fix people before I used to fix cars.
Yeah.
So diagnose them, fix them, and I'm kind of doing the same thing with the body now. And
there's some mechanics involved in both, right?
100%.
Like completely unintended puns, but like you are really going in and solving issues from top to bottom. So that probably gives you whereas I may think of personal trainers typically having what is your goal, right? Like when I've sat down with personal trainers in the past, what is my goal? Same as in a financial advisor.
Right.
And ultimately financial advisor, I want a boat, and then like personal trainer, I want 6-pack abs. Like it's so generic.
Right.
But with that mechanical background, that seems pretty cool because you're probably able to look at the diagnosis, as you're saying.
Correct.
So it's not about what your goal is. It's about how can I make this machine run for 500,000 miles.
100%. Right. How can I give that body more longevity?
Sure.
It's just kind of like the engine. How can I make the engine last longer? And knowing what to fix, what the issue is where it came down to. And I've always really had a passion just for that, just always wanting to. My mom even said as a kid, I used to take apart chairs and put things back together. So I've always been just inclined to always wanting to fix things. The gym kind of led me into that. I got tired of the automotive industry, where it was going. And next thing I know, actually, I was working at a bar, going back further than that. God.
Have a nice day.
No. Morgan Street Brewery. Jesus.
Oh, Morgan Street.
Yeah, Morgan Street. And one of the bartenders.
Where the landing was popular.
Yeah, when the landing was good.
Yeah.
And one of the bartenders asked, if I ever thought about being a trainer because, I was in shape and everything with that. And I said, no. And he knew that I was tired of the automotive industry. So, he was working at Bally's at the time. So he got me to come over, and I started doing personal training. And after a while, I just realized I just went all in. Like, I quit my my automotive career that I had a great salary. I was making great money, and I went all in on personal training at that point. And I did a year at Bally's, and then at that time, Chad Remley, who created DFM, which was at all the club fitnesses, me and 7 other trainers left there, went to Gold's with him, and then that's where DFM initiated, was with Gold's. And from there, we left club and went there, and then I ended up doing some stuff with box gyms, and Everly ended up landing me to open up Precision. I was running space from Red Fitness Lounge in Clayton, and that's actually where Precision started.
Okay.
From that standpoint. And
Well, before we go on to the next part of Precision, let's catch up on the other side.
Yeah, the other half, the better half.
Yeah, the other side. And then also later on, maybe in a different episode, I think it'd be fun to play a game like things that are said in the auto mechanic realm as well as a personal trainer.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's never good to have a spare tire.
Right.
Right. Or like,
Well,
like you got to use the right kind of oil.
I don't know if we should say
right type of fuel.
Yeah.
You got to have the right type of fuel.
Right type of fuel.
Right. You can't drive a Lamborghini on 87 octane.
Yeah. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things.
There's
that are probably
quite a bit of correlation there.
Your door is ajar. Maybe that doesn't apply to the human. So while he's coming up into this different modality of athletic and training and bodybuilding and fitness, I don't imagine you guys met in 1980.
I was born in 1985.
There you go. So what was your trajectory?
So I think that our paths are pre-written, but I feel like I always wanted to make people feel better because I was raised at a time where my parents were really young. I was the first grandchild. I was exposed to a lot of things that just, if I could have made everything kind of calm, if I could have made people feel safe or feel better about themselves. And then that parlayed into when I started developing as a child, as a teenager, I developed acne. Okay. And that really affected my self-esteem. And instead of just taking medication for the acne, I wanted to know why I had the acne. And I started getting facials in high school, and I really liked that. I liked the way it felt. I liked the results. And so I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I went to aesthetic school in 2004. I also feel like the things that I did as a child, dance, because my athleticism is very different. Like, I'm not the best athlete. He can even say that. Like, I can do things, but I'm not, it's just different.
It's a different type of coordination.
Correct. Like, I can dance.
Sure.
I can use both hands. I'm very ambidextrous, but like, it's just running, things like that. It's not, it's not the best unless I'm running away from something. But I actually grew up showing dogs and riding horses and doing theatrical dance. And I think that helped develop my aesthetic eye. And so I always dreamed that after I became an esthetician, I would do hair just from grooming dogs. But I really was into the science, like understanding the skin, understanding histology of the skin, the pathophysiology of the body, why acne happens. I also dealt with a lot of hormonal imbalance and a lot of gut health issues. So because of my own personal story, that's what got me into the field.
So not to interrupt, but just to kind of clarify, were the things you were dealing with health-wise, was it just normal female things, or you had an additional?
At the time, I would say normal female and teenager things, like just, things from birth control, things from just having hormonal imbalance, which I actually think is becoming even more of an issue in today's age with all the things that we're exposed to.
So you were just more aware of these things, like you wanted to figure out why.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. Weight was an issue. Gut dysbiosis or dysfunction was an issue. And then
keeping it on or losing weight?
Losing it.
Okay, so you both kind of had a background in that, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
And it wasn't as easy for me as it was other people, even at a young age. And so I started working in aesthetics, and then that progressed from just the basic spa to the med spa to the plastic surgeon. And then I realized I really liked science. So I went back for my nursing degree, and at this time is when Jamie and I met. And when we would talk, when we would go out on dates or just be together, we would talk about different nutraceuticals or vitamins, and we would be talking about the same vitamin for different reasons. And we were like, there's a lot of, symbiosis here, or like parallel universes here. Yes, thank you. It works together.
So where did you all meet?
We met at Molly's in Soulard in 2011.
Nice. Were you guarding the door, or you're just hanging out?
I was just hanging out, and it's funny because a buddy of mine drugged me there. I did not want to go out, and a friend of hers drugged her out and didn't want to be
That's
there.
usually how the best things happen.
Right. And then
When you're not looking.
she was actually there with a friend that I knew, and so that's, walked over and said hi to the mutual friend, and then, introduced myself, and she's like, "Oh, you're Jamie Speiser?" And I said, "Yeah." She's like, "Yeah." She goes, "I'm doing your diet. It works really well." I'm like,
My friend gave it to me.
I'm like,
She wasn't supposed to.
I'm like, "Well, that's interesting. Like, how did you get that? And then
Yeah.
who was it?"
Yeah.
And it was actually a girl that was prepping for Maximum magazine photo shoot. So,
Yeah.
I was prepping her for that, and then of course,
I was a subscriber to that in high school.
Yeah, I was, using his marketing. So I'm like, "Hey, as long as I can market you for this, like, I'll prep you for free.
Sure.
But do not give this diet out." And then, but I got to give a lot of thanks to that person
It was in
because
Maxim. She was like, "What's the secret to my beauty?" Jamie Speiser's diet.
but that led me to her. So
Okay.
it was a great
What year
payoff.
was this?
2011.
2011.
Okay, 2011.
Yep.
Yeah, and he was working, doing his own thing. He actually had a gym before Precision, and then I was working at the plastic surgeons, and things just worked out where it worked out for us to try to do something together. And from a business perspective, it made sense because it was two separate entities that also had a demographic that should feed itself pretty well. And that's where it all began. We opened Precision in 2014.
Yep.
Okay.
And through that journey,
Inside of this other gym at the time.
well, he had Precision Fitness.
Yeah, I had
we
Precision
opened Precision
Fitness. Yeah.
Fitness and Med Spa.
Yeah. And
Okay.
so I was renting space in Clayton.
Got it.
And at that point,
In 11.
2011. Yeah. And at that point in time, going back to my gym and everything, what I learned from the gym is, one, it made me a great hockey player. It made me a stronger hockey player. It gave me confidence on and off the ice, in and out of the gym. But also it led me to bodybuilding. I did bodybuilding for a while. And when I was renting space in Clayton, that was one of the biggest things I was known for, was prepping people for bodybuilding shows.
Okay.
And that was, at one point in time, I was almost prepping, like, I had a team of like 80 people. I was putting about 20 to 25 people on a show at a time. So that's what I was kind of known for. And then that's how me and her met, was going through that. But, opening up Precision, that was kind of the hard thing to overcome too, was the fact of the majority of people that I was actually working with was the general public, but what I was known for was the bodybuilding and beauty pageant.
Sure.
Like, get people in shape quick, get them ripped. That was my kind of thing.
Did you guys ever think about that correlation of you're building people up to do shows,
Right.
So you're showing people,
Yep.
and you were showing dogs and horses. Like,
Yes.
You guys talked about that?
Yeah, because it's actually pretty similar.
Yeah.
The
Very,
politics
very
that
4-H
happens.
of you both.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Right.
But dogs are, I don't know, never mind. I like dogs. I like dogs because dogs fill you up. They fill your soul up. And, we have been blessed to have really good competitor clients that are still our clients to this day, that don't compete still, but they've been amazing. It's
Competitor clients, what's that mean?
Bodybuilding clients. But I even have some clients that are still with me, tearing teeth.
Right, that's what I mean.
They're
They're lifelongers. And because when you go through an experience like of that, when you push yourself to max capacity with what you can do with your physiology and your mind, that is what makes you develop as a human. It's the breaking down, it's the duality of life, like learning that. And I think that's also what being business partners has taught us, because you have to let go of ego. You have to completely be all in and just trust the process.
Got to have a lot of faith, a lot of trust.
Well, right, because in 2013, you guys launch.
Yeah, we
Together.
opened in 2014. We got married in 2014. I started nursing school in 2014.
Big year for you guys.
Big year.
I don't remember any of it. I mean, I do remember some
And
of
she
it.
was, we both were competing in 13.
Oh.
We both did a show together in 13 too. So there was a lot going on. And, looking back then, I got to give us a lot of credit then, because, that kind of stress on a couple would bury a lot, would ruin most. I've seen, just in prepping couples for shows, bodybuilding shows, I've seen it destroy marriages.
Well, are you, and I don't know the ins and outs, but I would imagine if I'm doing something the way I live now versus, and it's not completely unhealthy by any means, but I'm not bodybuilding.
Right.
Right? Like I'm sure that when your body's going through that transformation, there's hormones involved.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because of a diet or because of whatever you're taking to get to that positioning, and not no implications that you're taking anything additional. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about natural bodybuilding. Just if you're changing up your diet, or if you're eating in a deficit day after day, or doing whatever, it affects you, right?
Yeah,
and for women, it's a lot harder because to be that catabolic or that lean, it downregulates your sex hormones. So it's really hard for women if they're not prepped properly or they don't come out of prep properly. It can really cause a lot of hormonal issues.
Yeah, and like you were saying, natural, enhanced, it doesn't matter. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's you're the last couple of weeks you're hardly sleeping because you're so depleted. You're going to the bathroom all the time. You're still training at a capacity as if you were eating double the amount of food, but you're eating half the amount of food. So the demand on the body is still there, and you're still making yourself go through that process. But I learned a lot through bodybuilding because I learned that if I can put myself through that, I can push through anything.
Yeah,
and
sure.
It took me back to my hockey days too. Even like the worst coaches that I had that I hated then also helped me become who I am today.
Okay.
The ones that pushed you beyond your comfort level. Like you hated them, but they pushed you harder and harder and harder. They brought a good coach will bring out the best in you.
Well, they expect more of you, right?
100%.
I had an 8th grade basketball coach. Shout out to Bobby Barrett. And he was very, very hard on me. But after leaving there and going into 9th grade, I remember visiting and being like, why were you so hard on me? And he was like, it's because I expected more of you.
Yeah.
And I never looked at it from that perspective. And he never let me in on that secret until I was done with this process. But always had a great deal of respect and remembered him very fondly ever since then, because that really touched me to think about, like, oh, this guy was proud enough of me and thought enough of me and had enough faith in me to, like, push me hard because he wanted better from me.
And he saw the capability in you.
Yeah, versus thinking about it like, man, that guy was a jerk. I looked at it introspectively and thought it was really touching that somebody took that much care.
Right.
To be like, I want to push you to do this.
It's an interesting point that you say that, because I can think of, for whatever reason, prior to us opening a business, I always worked for women, very strong women, strong plastic surgeon, my mother. I have family friends that I worked for with animals, and they all did not let me I always had to show up better than I thought I could. They pushed me. Okay. They believed in me. And because when it was with animals, those animals are reliant on you solely. When it's with a human, like in plastic surgery, you have to push yourself. You always have to mitigate risk and think about everything that can happen. And I think that's also what we try to do for our patients, because they are capable of more. Yep. And it's psychological. You have to believe that you're worthy before you even decide to make that step. That's what bodybuilding, and I give him a lot of credit for being my coach, because at the time I was turning to bad food and alcohol a lot to, amongst other things, to kind of just numb things, or, when you strip yourself of having those comforts, it really helps you realize what you're capable of. And that's what owning a business has also done. And we've just been able to figure out, like, believe me, it hasn't been easy for us all the time. Like, we've had some blowouts and stuff like that, but you just learn and you just strip yourself away.
But it's the same thing I look for, like, in clients and in employees. Now that's my job as a leader in the company and as a trainer and as a dietitian, is if people have that drive, I know I can bring out more. People, like, some people just have that drive and some people don't. And even some people who have it don't realize how much capability they truly have. And just like a good coach, a good trainer, a good leader, employer will pull that out of that employer, will pull it out of that client. And that's what ultimately my job is. And that's kind of like we talked about earlier, like the fixing part. I love the figure out, do we pull carbs? Do we push carbs? Do we pull, like, what do we do with that? But also I love pulling out and showing that person what they're truly capable of, and showing them that they have more in them than they thought, and they can do more than they thought. That's always been a big passion of mine, and that's my biggest joy at the end of the day.
Don't you think that's what also being business owners has taught us too? Because, like, when your back's against the wall and you don't have the option to just be like, I don't feel like doing this, we've been able to see what we're capable of as well. So, like, on the flip side, it's drawn that out of us as well.
100%.
Well, and you guys are coming from a place of experience, right? So, like, from what I've learned so far, and maybe some I've learned just from this one conversation, is that there's a difference between, like, let's say a kid that goes through college and he knows he's going to be a personal trainer and he's bodybuilding and doing all this weightlifting, and then he comes out and he's a personal trainer, gets this certificate and this and this and this and this and this. But what I'm hearing when you all tell me the backstory is both of you came from a place of being picked on, having body and image issues, having self-doubt. When we've talked deeper about other things, like there's not a perfect home setting necessarily. There's a lot of relatability in who you both are,
Right.
that lends itself to a much more in-depth and care for your clients or your people that you're partnering up with, right? And so like one of the things that I would say certainly sets you two apart is that your vulnerability is a superpower.
Yeah.
You are both very good at what you do and have never come off to myself or anyone I've ever spoken to as anything but caring and concerned, right? You're not, it feels comfortable to walk into your facility.
Well, thank you.
There's not an air of pretentiousness
No.
or of whatever. You both have a firm understanding of starting is different for everybody, but it's the same in the sense that it doesn't matter where you're starting from. It's about where you're going.
You know, I've learned in life that even though our stories are different, our stories are still very similar. You know, we all have our trauma, we all have our pain, we all have our family issues. Somewhere along the line, we are who we are today.
Sure.
And I know that my life experiences and everything I've gone through, that in the moment, like I never understood, why am I going through this? Why am I this? Why am I being treated this way? But I can always look back now and say that life experience helped me now help somebody else. And that makes me relatable. Just like me doing bodybuilding shows makes me relatable to people I prep for shows. You know, they can't look at me like, well, you don't know what it's like. You've never done a show. It's like, actually, yeah, I have. And actually, my diet was way worse than yours. So just suck it up and let's go. Like, you know, type of deal. So that's the biggest thing, is being relatable. And like even with Jen with her skincare issues, you know, it makes her relatable.
Yeah.
And I think when you're relatable, that means people will know that you understand. And when people know that you understand, they're going to be way more inclined to trust you. And I don't think they think you're judging them. And the list goes on with it.
Sure.
The other thing that it's taught us, you know, because even as we've gone through the seasons of owning a business since 2014, you know, with all the stress of competing and going to grad school, my body then had another hormonal disruption of completely shutting down. And without, you know, in 2020, like everything stopped hormonally for me. I actually thought I was going through early menopause at like 35. It was interesting, but I wasn't, and I healed that. And I do believe that the sole purpose that we're on this planet is to take what's happened to us and help, like, otherwise, what are we doing it for? What are we refining for?
Yeah.
And so I think that's the other thing that we like to offer people. It's a different avenue than mainstream medicine. You know, the experiences that we have, and in the team that we have, they have their own experiences, and the way that we do things in a more functional manner helps them, helps their children, helps their parents, helps whatever. We have some really cool things that are happening just because of that. And the people that we've met, you know, our collaborative mentors, things like that. It's become a really cool group of people. Our team is really incredible with that.
Well, and like you said, one of the things that when I say recently started to learn, I mean recently started to learn the last couple of years, but the more that happens within my life, the more I'm like, wow, you know, I was just having a conversation with a couple buddies of mine the other day about sometimes it's hard to see the lesson in something in the moment.
Yes.
Right. Because it's like, why, you know, like I don't know. Like I pray, I do the things I'm supposed to do. I haven't killed anybody. I'm living by the basic 10 commandments. Why are these things? But in hindsight, what I've certainly am a firm believer in now is that my most painful moments have been my most valuable lessons.
100%.
And when I draw it that way and I look back and I remember to have faith in knowing that my plan is what I want, but not necessarily where I'm going to go or what the actual plan is. And I think about it in a different phase, right? So I look at it as like, it's a healing thing. I'm thankful now for the pain.
Yep.
It sucks, but I'm thankful because I can look introspectively and say, what could I do differently next time to cause myself or to not cause this pain? And also, in what parts can I use this lesson, like what you're saying, to help others?
Right.
Well, and that's exactly, you're right, because otherwise, again, like what's it for? But two, when you are building muscle, you have to put that muscle through injury. When you're anti-aging, you have to essentially cause injury to the tissue.
Yeah.
Everything, in order for it to be renewed, has to be broken, has to be worn down, has to be torn apart. everything. Even when you're trying to clean up somebody's physiology, you have to strip away the things that could be causing it. And it's painful. It's a thing because we become so used to sugars and things and all of those other things. But without it, we can't grow.
Yeah. I dyed my hair all white once, like back in the early 2000s, because it was a cool thing to do, like Cisco white. But in order to dye it white, they had to strip the color several times. And so when you're saying that, I recently actually read something and then posted something the other day on my social media about how like everything's a muscle in the sense that you're talking about.
Yep.
Right? Your emotional health is got to be torn down and stripped down to be built back up. Your faith has got to be broken in order to really see it. And I liken some of my harder experiences. I often reference God as a father saying like, hey man, come on. And then being like, look, I told you twice. And then finally just being like, that's the time when the pain happens, right? Yeah. It's like when I haven't, and then I have to refocus. Well, now you've removed everything from me, everything that I've loved or everything I've cared about, everything I thought was valuable. You've taken that all away from me now. Yeah. And that was so that I could focus on you, right? Yeah. And so you guys are doing the same thing, but now you've taken all the lessons you've learned, the heartache or the traumas or the things you went through with being bullied or sponsored, and now you're applying that in a loving way to individuals through a company that you've developed over many, many years and been through ups and downs and trials and tribulations. And my favorite part about what you two are doing is now you're doing this. So kind of in closing of this episode, where do you think, or where would you like to see this message delivered? How would you like your message to be received, I should say? Because you didn't start doing this show with the intention of becoming famous. You did the show to help others, right?
Our goal through this is to educate. There's so much information out there, and I even go to, with big pharma and mainstream medicine and stuff like that. There's just so much uneducated people out there, and they don't know how to advocate for themselves. They don't know how to advocate for themselves or get with their doctor when the doctor tells them their lab work is in normal range, and normal is not good. I mean, it's good, but it's not where you want. You want to optimize. They're not educating them that, nutrition is the foundation behind everything. That's the first line of defense to anything.
It's not taught in med school.
And it's not taught in med school. Yeah. They want to push medication. So like for me, I think the message is that Precision is a resource where people can come to, that they'll get sound information, that we take a very holistic approach to everything. Nutrition is the foundation behind it. We'd go fixing the gut, address the adrenals, address the thyroid, then we start looking at sex hormones. And then obviously the big part of it is the mental side of it. Just because you want to be in better shape, we all want to be in better shape, look better, right? Sure. Just like we all want to make more money. But what are you willing to give up, and what are you willing to do to get there? And then what are you willing to give up, and what are you willing to do to keep it? Just like you save up money, you save up $5,000, $10,000, and that goes to your retirement. You don't celebrate by spending half of it. Right. It's like then you're halfway back. So in nutrition, unfortunately, is looked at that way. They do these 12-week programs, and they do these things.
Donuts and pizza to celebrate.
Right. And then the first thing they're thinking about is, I want to go celebrate on pizza, beer, and everything else. And they unravel because what they didn't initially work on was the mindset. The habits and the triggers that cause you to eat poorly and make poor decisions don't go away in 30 days.
Yeah, lifestyle is different than a diet or a fad.
100%. And that's what we really address is we say like Precision Life, it is a lifestyle. We teach a lifestyle that is sustainable. We don't teach fad diets. We teach you how to use them. We teach you how to use keto. We teach you how to use intermittent fasting, but that is not the foundation of what you're going to live on for the rest of your life. And that's, I think, the difference in what we do.
And that diet ties into skincare as well.
It does.
Right?
And I think that's, for me, the legacy that I want to leave, whether it's for the people that we can touch here locally or the people that happen to listen that aren't local. It's more about, one, trusting yourself and knowing that every season passes, good and bad. You go through ups and downs because life is not linear. It's this circular spiral, and hopefully you're ascending, not descending. We're dealing with some seasonal stuff now and we're learning from it. Those are never over. You're never going to have a perfect life. And it's just, what can you take from it? How can you help other people in the process? And to Jamie's point, there's a lot of information that's hard to decipher coming at people, at the consumer, at the patient. And there's better ways, how we feel, there are better ways to do aesthetics, more regenerative aesthetics, anti-aging, longevity, medicine, fitness. It doesn't have to be, one way or the other. There's just a lot out there that's untapped because a lot of consumption is owned by big pharma or commercials or things like that. And then, unfortunately, a lot of people in medicine have different routes of education. Some people do understand holistic medicine, while others are kind of still stuck.
Depending on what they study, you're saying?
Yeah, or if they do it on their own. So there's just you can go to 2 different physicians and they're going to have a different plan. And so then sometimes I think people just they feel defeated. And so just having a resource that people can hear, having a resource just to help be a positive impact. I hope that with some of the guests that we have on, because when we started this with Younger by the Minute, it was a way for us to educate on all the services that we provide, all the things that we do. I'm an educator for injectables, helping people that are in the industry, because there isn't a direct path to become a really good aesthetic provider.
Yeah, I think, if I'm not mistaken, you were telling me something about there's a lot of times where there's no standardization.
There is none.
Anybody can just
there isn't. Yeah. So as long as
that's scary to me to think about. I could go into somewhere and be injected by somebody.
And how would you know, right? You wouldn't know.
Just decide I'm going to be an esthetician tomorrow.
Right,
go in
right,
there.
right. And so there isn't a board. There isn't, as of right now. So there's just a lot of things in our fields that I believe need to change. Same thing with social media. There's just people want to be heard and listened to. So sometimes they're just saying something that can be misconstrued, and maybe not intentionally, but just having a sound place. And heck, maybe one day we'll be like, there's been times where I thought something and I'm like, you know what? Actually, there's a better way, or this is wrong, because it's forever evolving.
Or they learned it from some dude named Greg at their local gym in the town of 500 people, and now they're like, I'm a trainer.
Right. Yeah. Right. Or they did a bodybuilding show, and now they think they're a trainer, even though they're not the one that got themselves in shape.
Right.
Kind of unrelated but related. I know several individuals that will go on an ayahuasca retreat and then be like, I'm gonna be a shaman. And I'm like, are you sure? Because I feel the same way about that as when you juice 10 times and you're like, wait, you're not juicing? You're not juicing, dude? Right. Have you not had just raw beets in the raw? No, calm down, dude. You've been juicing for 2 weeks. Let's see if it's sustainable.
I could see myself one day being a shaman, but
yeah,
but maybe in a different way.
And I think the other thing that too is, at least from the people who come see us and everything, we're very much result driven, not money driven. We truly care about every person that walks through the door. The culture speaks for it. The longevity of our clients, the longevity of our staff, all speaks on behalf of that. I've had one client for 18 years. She's followed me everywhere I've gone since the day I started training her. The majority of the people that come to Precision have been with us since we opened in 2014. So the longevity of the client, the loyalty of that, it's all because they know we truly care. That's the biggest thing. And, we donate or we give services away free. We don't brag about it. We don't post about it. We just do it because it's the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And where can we find more information about Precision?
It's precisionlife.io.
And that'll be down in the description bar below.
Yep.
And then we have social medias, Precision Life STL, and then Precision Life on Facebook.
And then we have at the Jamie Speiser and at the Jennifer Speiser.
That's if we want to email you directly.
Yep.
All right. And then what is something that, are there seasonal things that are popular right now or that you're doing, getting ready for summer?
Yeah.
Aesthetically?
Yeah, actually, there's a really
I know
cool...
there's stuff getting ready for summer. Beach body thing is a big deal, right? All over the place.
Yeah.
What about skincare in the summer? What's important?
So that's a really cool question, because we have a new device called the Ultherapy, and it uses ultrasound. And why that's really cool is that it's not light-based. So anything that's light-based, if you do it prior to being exposed in light, it can actually accelerate sun damage. So you have to be really careful with what you do in the summer.
Light-based as in that's the application?
Either if it's a heavy chemical
or a laser?
peel or a laser, it will actually make you more sensitive to the sun.
Okay.
So you have to really time that sun exposure accordingly.
You don't want to strip away that epidermis.
Yeah, you don't want to do that, but it's almost
is that
like
right?
Yeah, you got
the first layer of skin.
It is the first layer of skin. It's the dead layer of skin. Dermis is living.
Yeah, that's what those little doctor fish eat.
I'm actually really impressed that you know that.
Yeah, thanks. I took biology in high school.
But yeah, the ultrasound is nice because it's also colorblind. So it can be used on any Fitzpatrick, which means pale or darkest of skin types. It's not
Fitzpatrick is a chart that gauges skin tone?
Yes.
Huh. Yeah.
Yes.
Learn something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Wonder why it's an Irish name.
Maybe it was an Irish doctor. I'd have to look into that.
It would make sense because like when people from Ireland went other places, they were like, wait, there's
You're
other
so
skin
white.
color?
Actually, or they were like, whoa, like I'm Irish, so I can say that. So why does that
The
wall?
Fitzpatrick scale is based on all Irish people being ones.
Right. Literally, I am.
Yeah.
This is not
and
real.
then any pigment above that is like, whoa.
Well, because when you think about it, like lasers, like laser hair removal or certain lasers are attracted to pigment. There isn't a difference between the melanin that makes someone darker or the pigment that is like a sunspot. It's the same. So if you're trying to use
It's the absence of, right?
Well, no, but like, so if the laser is meant to hit brown spots and you're a brown person, it's going to damage your melanocytes and that can actually scar you. So you have to be really careful with who you're going to for those treatments, but then also that's why I like this device because it's used for skin tightening, but it can be used all year round and it can be used on any skin tone.
Okay.
That would be something that would be great. From another aesthetic perspective, making sure that you don't stop with your skincare, that you just make changes seasonally for hydration because the sun actually dries your skin out, makes it a little bit more sensitive. And then IV therapy is a really good way to augment any facial treatment that you're getting because you're getting internal hydration to match the external.
And you can get all those right there at your shop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And then we have two new skin products launching. We have a moisturizer that's called Hyalux that has hyaluronic acid, which actually pulls water from the environment to help make your face hydrated.
Okay.
And then we have a new sunscreen that's not tinted because right now we have a tinted sunscreen.
Are the sunscreens all natural? I've heard a lot lately about that.
It's a physical, all natural block because chemical sunscreens can actually make you have inflammation related to the sun, and they're toxic.
I use them sometimes in the house when I want to be left alone from my children. It might be a different kind of sunscreen I'm talking about. It's to screen my sons away from me.
Right.
But all right, so then we know the dietary things, but so we are going to I want to wrap your show here the same way that I like to do mine, just kind of something interesting. And that is to ask, is there, given that both of you have that background that you have, is there something that's a mantra or a saying that kind of keeps you going through the stressful times or that has helped you weather the storms? We'll start with ladies first. Jennifer, you tell us, and then we'll go to Jamie.
Oh gosh, you're putting me on the spot. And
It's the most fun way to do it.
Right.
I mean, honestly, that I'm highly favored and I ask God every day to help me utilize the gifts that he's giving so that I may be a gift to somebody else. Okay. That's my mantra.
Okay.
All right, you're going to put me on that. All right. So I know for the longest time, and I still at times, even like she was saying, failure's not an option. It's not an option for me. I will always find a way. But like Jen was saying, in every morning when I journal, the first thing at the top of the page, I put down faith, live, love, laugh, trust, contribute, and thrive.
How many is that? 7?
Yep.
Is there a significance to the number of it?
Just what I came up with, those were the ones that were the most priority. Cause
I like the number 7.
Yeah.
I think, as you go, I think sometimes we just get caught up in the moment and we forget to live. Like we just are so busy with work and we forget to live. We'll forget to laugh. That was actually one of my biggest problems. I just was so wrapped up in work that I wasn't living anymore. Like I wasn't spending time with family, wasn't spending time with friends. Our time was limited, but definitely could have been spent better. So I needed to learn how to live and laugh again was the biggest thing.
The first time you laughed after not laughing for a long time, did it scare you?
You weren't
used to it. You're like, what was that noise?
It's like, whoa. And then, the rest of it just came. Like I'm just a big believer, and it's why I do what I do. It's contributing back. I said a long time ago, my wealth came from contributing and helping others. It wasn't from a financial standpoint.
Sure.
If I made a shit ton of money doing this, great, but my wealth came from helping people because that's where I got the most amount of joy.
Yeah, money follows passion when you have a servant's heart, I believe.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Well, thank you both so much. To find out more information, check the description bar below and keep an eye out for Younger by the Minute each week or every other week.
Every other week.
Every other week, right here on Punchline and Precision's own personal channel. And thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.